right, guys. Welcome back. Week number 3.
Welcome back. Week 3.
10
This
plus
is,
1.
Third episode of our 10 plus 1 series. We are meeting everybody in the shop and talking about their life through song.
Biography through music.
Biography 3. Yeah, that's good.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. But, third try around. Third week in a row. I'm happy.
Yeah,
First 2 went pretty well.
totally solid. We're not in the hot seat anymore.
Yeah, not in the hot seat, which is
Pretty
nice.
I actually have our first guest today. Oh, first of all, this is Corey Blanc.
And I'm Christopher Knox.
Yeah. Welcome to 10 plus 1. And today's our first guest.
Yeah, very first guest, Brady.
Brady, hello.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well.
What do you do here, Brady?
I am the customer service and fulfillment guy, so if you've reached out to Blanc, you've probably reached out to me.
Yeah.
And if you've gotten a pan from Blanc in the last year and a half, you have gotten it from me.
The box master.
The box master, among other nicknames.
Yeah. We'll leave those for later.
Yes, for sure.
What are some customer service questions? What are some common ones?
A lot of seasoning questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of seasoning and care. We sell a pan, for a premium price. It's a premium, luxury pan. So I think it causes people to be a little careful when they get, their new pan. So a lot of times it's just, what can I do before I mess this up?
Yeah.
And we like to stress, you're not going to mess it up.
Yeah. Can't mess it up.
Nope, just cook.
Just keep cooking.
Yep.
Don't let it rust. Pretty easy.
Oil and fats are your friends.
Yeah.
I have that tattoo.
Yeah.
It should be a shop tattoo.
It should be. So we're gonna do your biography. I keep saying biography.
There's
Biography 3. Yeah.
It is the third episode. Through music. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Illinois, a town called Rockford. It's about 70 miles outside of Chicago. Then from there, lived in Chicago in my early 20s through late 20s. Then North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina for a few years. And now we're here and working in Waynesboro, living in Stanton.
Nice. How was it in Rockford growing up? It was in the 90s?
Yeah, so I was born in 86. So yeah, most of my childhood was in the 90s. Rockford's a typical Rust Belt, Great Lakes, Midwest town. So it had lost a lot of industry, hence why I've moved, and a lot of kids who grew up there have moved, to find better jobs and whatnot. But yeah, I'm the youngest. I was the youngest of 4 kids growing up, so there was a lot of influence from my older siblings. I do have also a younger sister now. I can't leave her out.
Nice.
She's my half-sister, Taylor. She's awesome.
Cool.
But yeah, so I have people in my life that definitely have helped influence, this list, for sure.
Cool. What's the first song? Is the first song you remember hearing, or?
I don't know if it's the first song I remember hearing, but I would say it's among the first songs. And I just think Elvis in general. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents growing up. And they, of course, they were born in the 30s, so they grew up listening to rock and roll. And Elvis was definitely somebody who was playing. Then also just growing up with them and seeing the way they interacted and the love that they had, I felt like this was just a great song for that.
I love Elvis. I've been a huge Elvis fan since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I got this little picture of me playing guitar. It's probably kindergarten. Big sunglasses on, playing Elvis songs for my nephews and uncles and stuff. And I could listen to Elvis every day.
I should say this could have easily been a Four Tops or Mamas and the Papas or the Temptations as well, but Elvis just sticks out so much.
Yeah, and who got you into Elvis, you said?
It was just on at my grandparents.
Yeah.
And also we had an oldies channel, 95.3, back in Rockford, that was just, you know, it was going to be Elvis, Sam Cooke, you know, like I said, Temptations, Mamas and the Papas. But it's just hard to get away from Elvis. And specifically, you know, Can't Help Falling in Love is just such a great song. So,
Yeah.
like I said, just, you know, thinking back to my grandparents and hearing Elvis a lot at their house and just the way that those two interacted, it's a perfect song.
All right. Elvis Aaron Presley.
Can't Help Falling in Love.
Ah, such a dreamboat, that Mr. Presley. Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, it's such a good song.
That was early Presley, I guess?
No, not like super early. I love Elvis movies. When I'm in the right mood, like, I love just like sitting and watching some crazy film he was in.
I can't say that I've seen too many, but my best like reference to them is Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
In Raw talking about the Elvis movies and his acting. So I need to get them back. So.
They're fun, man. A couple of them are really good. There's one, it's called like Kid Creole or King Creole, something like that. It's like dark and it's like, that's one of my favorites.
Nice.
Then like watch like him in Hawaii and stuff. It's just hula girls and little skirts and it's just fun stuff, man. So what we got now? Where you at?
Well, I should say, so I was potentially going to put on here I'm Gonna Be by the Proclaimers. Mm-hmm. I just didn't want to put us through necessarily listening to that, but I do have such fond memories of like sitting in the car with my mom. Things weren't always the happiest, but for some reason this song would come on the radio in the car, and she would just like light up. She loved that song. So just shout out to I'm Gonna Be by the Proclaimers, but we are not going to be hearing that. We are going to be moving on to Beck and Loser. I can just remember being a kid playing with like Hot Wheels in the living room floor and like this song coming on at the same time like Butthole Surfers was coming on.
Yeah.
And just like, what is this guy? What he's singing about being a loser was just so different than what I had heard before. And I don't know why I can imagine playing with Hot Wheels on the floor and hearing this song and just being like, I don't know what this is, but I love it.
Yeah. I mean, things changed real quick, you know, from like the hair metal stuff into like indie rock and all that. Like, it just was like, I remember like 120 minutes and stuff being on. You're like, what is this music even? I didn't even get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Have you ever seen Beck?
I have. So actually 9 out of the 11 people I've listed, I've seen.
Oh, really?
Beck was a little later. We saw, my wife and I, Maggie, saw him in Raleigh in probably 2019. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was going to be a fun show. I just didn't expect...
So much energy at a Beck show.
He's been doing it so long. Yeah. And you don't realize, like, his voice is super strong.
And how many songs he has.
So many songs. He just puts on a great show. And, yeah, go see him live if you have not.
I was totally surprised at his stature. He's a little dude.
Yeah.
He brings a big energy.
Yeah. A lot of musicians.
Just running around.
But also, like, when I saw him, I mean, 2019, it was only a few years ago. He's older. And his presence, just not having to put so much energy out, too, but just his voice, which I underestimated in all his albums, because it's usually his production stuff. But his voice was so strong. And we saw him outdoors at a wonderful place in Raleigh. I think it's Coastal Creek Amphitheater now it's called, but just an awesome outdoor place. Great show.
All right, let's jump into it. Beck, Loser.
All right. Sure, so Beck. It's a great song. Yeah, I don't know. We were talking while it was playing about like, that was like the first type of stuff that you heard of that.
Well, it was just different. Like we said, you know, you're listening to it on the radio and you're like, is there a band back here? Is this just a dude making music?
Yeah.
And, you know, you can speak more to that, like how it was actually made, but.
I mean, I don't know how it was made, but it seems to be like, just like snippets, you know, it's like all
the sampling.
It's like produced and samples and stuff like Fatboy Slim and all that. It's just like pieces of different old albums, and that he like weird things from like a Peanuts Christmas, like a bass line from that or something, you know, like just weird stuff. I don't know how they made that stuff back then. Like now you could do it on computer real easy, but beats me how they were doing it back then.
It was the early digital days.
Yeah, I'm sure it was digital, but like real simplified. Like it probably just took so long, like so many man hours to pull that stuff out, and splice together. So how old were you around there? I just remember being little and playing with matchboxes.
What? That album came out in like 91 or 92, probably.
Really?
Something
Is it
like
that old?
Was that off Odelay?
I'm so bad with album names. I can't answer that, but I was probably 6 or 7 when it came out, something like that. But then, like I said, I had older siblings, so some of that music that I shouldn't have been listening to at 6 or 7 was starting to bleed in.
Yeah.
You know, then that speaks to the next song on the list, which could have easily been, you know, again, having 2 older brothers and an older sister. You know, my sister was listening to a lot of R&B and hip hop, you know, some Nas and, you know, the old Biggie and stuff like that. And then my brothers were also listening to hip hop, but some more of the rock and roll stuff. And then Rage Against the Machine came out. And again, kind of like Beck, you know, it was just almost like the anti-grunge, where these guys were, there was so much just like, we mentioned Pearl Jam and Nirvana, which were fine, but then these guys came out with a different type of energy.
Yeah.
And what are they? Is this hip hop? Is this rock and roll? You know, like, sure, the Beastie Boys were out, but not like these guys came out with a full band, like an incredible band.
Yeah.
And just a different type of energy. And I just remember being a little kid and hearing just all the songs on this album, but especially Know Your Enemy.
Yeah.
I just felt like it just was a good, like...
I had one song off this album, too, that almost made it into my list.
Yeah.
It's like you can't... Growing up, when we're close enough in age.
Yeah.
Like, this was very prominent.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of like a good anthem for, like, you're young and you're just, like, don't know about the world. And it's just like, oh, Know Your Enemy? Yeah.
Yeah. This CD used to get me pumped for, like, wrestling matches.
Yeah.
Like, sitting in, like... Yeah, this was, like, pre-wrestling match music right here.
Yeah.
And plus there wasn't like a lot of anger at that time, like pop music wise, you know? So like I was already into hardcore. So like actually Zach, he was in like an old hardcore band before this called Inside Out. Okay. That's like one of my favorite records. And so this was like, for me, I was like, this is like as close to hardcore as that's on like mainstream stuff, you know? So I was like really into it just because, yeah, now people are figuring it out, you know?
This is sadly one of the bands I have not seen. Hopefully soon, but...
Oh, yeah, they're doing shows.
They're doing
again,
a tour
right?
now.
They are, but I know Zach De La Rocha hurt himself on the last tour.
I think he hurt himself like twice.
My brother went to the show. Their kickoff show, I think, was in Alpine Valley, and I'm upset we weren't able to go. But yeah, next time they start touring, we'll be there.
That's awesome.
All right,
let's do it.
Rage.
Nice. Rage, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been, you know, like I mentioned before, it could have been Nas, you know, anything from Illmatic. It could have been any of that early hip hop, but this one just really speaks, I feel like, and it just stands the test of time.
Yeah. I can just like see you playing little Brady playing matchboxes and just being like, it just started trembling on the inside.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So, so what do we got next? So after playing matchboxes,
so this one,
are you still in Rockford this whole time? Like, did you move around a lot?
So
or?
Rage was probably a little later now. So, you know, later elementary school, I start hearing stuff like that and like actively listening. And then we'll jump kind of into early high school. Jurassic 5. I don't know if you guys are familiar at all with Jurassic 5, but they're kind of like they're an old school style hip hop do, where there's a lot of harmony, and they're just awesome. And my buddy Grant and I went to our first show, like drove into Chicago when we were 16 to Tenacious D and saw a concert. So him and I have shared some fun music experiences. I remember he gave me the CD Quality Control, and I probably never gave it back to him, and I'm really sorry, Grant. Luckily, music is digital now. But these guys were a little different than what I'd heard. I'd heard a lot of, Nas has a style, and it's very much like there's a message here. And these guys are so much more just that old school hip hop harmony, just kind of a positive message. And they were just fun, man, being in early high school, getting our driver's license and starting to drive around and having hip hop on in the car. It's just good feels.
What kind of car were you driving then? Listening to Jurassic 5 and Rage Against the Machine?
Man, I had a 1989 Volkswagen Jetta, and that was my baby.
So you were a Volkswagen dude from the get-go?
From the get-go.
Okay.
Still rocking the Volkswagens.
Got that 89 GLI with those Recaro seats, and they just hooked me.
Did they come factory with a Recaro?
That car came factory with Recaro seats. Yeah.
Nice.
It was a nice car. I miss that car. I wish I still had it.
Awesome. All right, so what do we got? What's the name of this song?
So this is Jurassic 5, Quality Control. It's the name of the album and the song.
Okay.
All right, let's jump
Quality
into
Control. Let's do it. All right, Jurassic 5.
Jurassic 5.
Awesome. Quality Control. That was good.
Yeah.
I never really listened to much of them because it was a little later for me in my life. But yeah, I remember other people being way into it, and I remember their name. And it reminds me of stuff I did like that's similar, like Far Side and
yeah, it's a little more of
stupid
a throwback. It sounds older than it probably is.
Yeah, it's got a good vibe.
For that vibe, that's really late. And
yeah, absolutely.
like the Black Eyed Peas first album. Believe it or not, the Black Eyed Peas first album is awesome. It's so good, and it's got a similar vibe. You should check that out if you get a chance. So where are we at now?
So now still kind of in that high school zone, but where I've started going to shows. So Rockford is probably equidistant to Milwaukee and Chicago. And if you want to see music, I mean, everybody's either coming to Chicago or Milwaukee. So we lucked out when we were teenagers and also had parents that let us drive. And I guess I should preface all of this with us. I met my wife, Maggie, when we were in 7th grade. We met each other. We dated through high school, and then got back with together in our early 20s. So now most of this list, it can't help but be intertwined with Maggie too, and our just kind of musical journey. So this next one is, one of the early shows. We went to the Rave, which is the Eagles Ballroom in Milwaukee, which is has had just about everybody come through there. It's a great place to go see a concert, just like old school, wide open concert hall. So yeah, this is Jimmy Eat World and Sweetness. And I can remember going to see Jimmy Eat World with Maggie, her oldest friend in the world, Kate. And yeah, these guys just put me back into that like high school. I wasn't super into the pop punk emo stuff, but it was just all around me. And then being 37 now and having gone to plenty of weddings of people my age, this song
that's all the time,
still hits at weddings. Man,
that's the wedding jam.
When this song comes on at a wedding, I mean, people stop and
get down.
It's a wedding wide harmony. So yeah, I mean, just Jimmy Eat World's great. They're fun, and it's just really kind of starts setting up just the going to concerts and experiencing music on our terms and a kind of a shared journey with Maggie.
Yeah. Awesome. So what's the name of the song you said?
Sweetness.
Sweetness. Jimmy Eat World.
Jimmy Eat World.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. Jimmy Eat World. The wedding jam. I can see you like hearing that first. You're like, oh.
Yeah. It usually gets the dance floor to stop. And just everybody harmonizes. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I have to say though, like that could have easily been a Ben Folds song, a Ben Folds 5 song. Mm-hmm. we had a couple of us that would go, like I mentioned before, like into Chicago and see shows, and we were definitely going in to see Ben Folds 5. I know, not like his post like Brick stuff, similarly to Jimmy Eat World, just like fun, high energy, just fun shows.
Yeah, just like pop.
Yeah,
it's good. That's cool. So when you're not breaking down at weddings with Jimmy Eat World, what you got next?
Next, I would say we start popping into like the late teens, early 20s, really kind of early 20s. And being an Illinois native, I kind of have to have Wilco on my list. These guys, this song, I just felt like, it's just kind of being unsure. You're in your early 20s, you're kind of unsure about life, and just the message of like, stuff might not be exactly what you expect. I also saw these guys around this time in like 2004, I think October 2004, in the Auditorium Theater in Chicago, which is an amazing theater and an amazing place to hear music.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, these guys always put on a great show. They're probably the most seen band as far as live music.
Really?
Maggie and I we've seen them at Red Rocks. We've seen them in Milwaukee and Chicago, just all over. They always put on a great show. Again, just one of those bands you would underestimate from listening to an album. Mm-hmm. But Jeff Tweedy's always great. They're just great.
That's cool. Yeah, I never got into Wilco until like maybe a year ago. I first started listening to him. And I feel like they're coming up in conversation like constantly the past couple of years.
Well, they've just stood the test of time. They've been making music forever, and they kind of hit that Americana folk music sometimes, but they also, their guitarist, Nels Klein, I believe is his name. He's also like a jazz guitarist, and sometimes they seem like a jam band, like there's...
Yeah, because they'll go on for some like long instrumentals.
For sure.
Live.
Yeah, and we've seen them come out for an encore. When we saw them at Red Rocks, they came out with an upright bass and like an acoustic set and just like 4 dudes at the front of the stage and did their whole encore just kind of like folky Americana kind of. So they're pretty versatile. Again, just seeing them live, you underestimate them by listening to them on an album, but they're so good.
Yeah, I think the Americana like scene blowing up has got like a lot of those dudes are like, people are like, oh, what did you listen to? And they're like, dude, I was huge into Wilco, you know? So I think like younger people are listening to it again or something. Cause I don't know. It's just, I feel like Wilco just keeps coming up in conversation a lot from different things, but that probably has like the scene's finally caught up to him,
Yeah. And I don't know if this is the most like emblematic song of their style or whatnot, but this song is just through the years has always spoken to me. It's a little darker. It's a little, I like it.
Because there's a number of songs that I love of Wilco, and just seeing the title of this one, maybe I'll know it when I hear it, but off the title, I don't.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Because they have a lot of records, right?
Oh, they have. Yeah, they've been making music since the early mid '90s. They've been putting records out.
Yeah, and they're still together. Do you know?
I'm pretty sure they are. I mean, Jeff Tweedy does a bunch of stuff on his own. I mentioned Nels
he does
Klein.
collaborations with other people.
Yeah, but he'll also show up in a TV show randomly.
Oh, really?
He showed up in Parks and Rec in Portlandia, and so he's out there, just doing stuff.
Okay.
I would imagine that they're still out there doing stuff. I haven't heard anything otherwise.
Cool. So what's the name of the song again?
So this is Hell is Chrome by Wilco.
Hell is Chrome.
Yeah, probably 2004, I think the album came out.
All right, let's do it. Wilco. All right. Wilco. That was good. That was really good. So that was the first time you said that you like took a train out?
Well, that was one of the first times I feel like in Chicago that we like took a train to a show. Mm-hmm. And Auditorium Theater is downtown Chicago. It's a really old theater. And yeah, I can imagine being on the train with Maggie going to see this show. Yeah, just such a fun way to go to a show.
For sure. It's less stressful. You're just like in and out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I wish they had a train into town from out here. Just it'd be so great.
Yeah, I mean, we spent so much of our 20s just getting around the city of Chicago on the train, specifically those nights out, those times you're going to see a show, a local band. The train was just the way to go.
Yeah,
I agree. I miss it.
How long of a trip from Rockford to Milwaukee or Chicago? I know you said it's like halfway, but like an hour or?
It's just over an hour for each of them from Rockford. At this point, though, I would have been in Chicago.
Oh, you're in Chicago.
Yeah. Okay. Most of the Wilco shows that I would have seen, we would have just been taking the train from our house in Chicago.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so you're in Chicago now in your life. How long did you live in Chicago?
Roughly 8 years, give or take.
Okay.
Maggie went to DePaul, so right after high school, she went there and stayed. And when we got back together, when we were 21 or 22, I moved there. We got an apartment together. So yeah, this is putting us early 20s now for the Wilco era. Kind of starting to move into the 20s, kind of figuring out what we're gonna do as a couple and careers, making money and living and whatnot. Which kind of gets into the next song.
I've been waiting on this guy to come up. I knew he was going to be on the list somewhere. I've been waiting on it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I listen a lot. There's a lot of hip hop in my repertoire now, but specifically Kendrick Lamar. And I feel like this is a good one, just that kind of mid to late 20s. You're just kind of like starting to get into a zone, and you're like, okay, I figured this out with Maggie. We figured out kind of like what our path is. We've started to mature a little bit, and this one's just kind of like, all right, kind of setting us up for that.
Cool. Tell me about Kendrick Lamar. Like, where'd you first hear about him? And
man, I don't even know if I could say where I first heard about him. Just sometime in Chicago. I had an influence from a lot of coworkers in Chicago, just different music. It's probably where I first heard like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, just shop music just in the air. And it's like, oh, what is that? What am I hearing? And this specifically, like this album of Kendrick's, he hasn't gotten into like the political statements so much yet. It's just kind of more the fun vibe, hip hop.
This came out in 2012. This album did.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Yeah. And this was is this the same album with Poetic Justice and Swimming Pools and
Swimming Pools?
Which Poetic Justice, I hated Drake for the longest time, and then I learned like he's got a sense of humor about himself.
Okay.
And that Poetic Justice almost made it on the list, but I feel like Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe just is.
It's a badass song.
It's just where it's at, and again, just that like late 20s, like prematurely feeling like we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And this song is perfect for that. Like, I don't know that I don't know yet, but we're just starting to get a little more confident, and life is starting to like take shape a little more.
Yeah. You think you're like, oh, I was so dumb a little while ago, but I got it now.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, no, I didn't have it at all.
Yeah, this album has the backseat freestyle. That was always a good one.
Yeah, cool. This is a really good album.
All right. Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. Wonder what that song's about. Cool. Yeah, I haven't listened to a lot of Kendrick Lamar. That's good.
Yeah, he's great. And obviously he evolves from Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. But
yeah,
this one just hits good every time.
Cool.
And I can imagine riding to or from work back in Chicago, my earbuds in.
Yeah.
With just this or J. Cole or something like that in my ears.
Yeah, I could imagine like summer day on a bicycle.
Dude, I think half the days whenever I hear you pull up in the morning and the windows are down, it's typically Kendrick.
It's usually Kendrick Lamar. There's a little Steve Lacy built in these days, but yeah.
Cool.
He'll get your morning going. And
you said you saw him play before, right?
I saw him in Raleigh in, I think, 2016-ish at Walnut Creek on the Dam Tour. He was incredible. Puts on a great show. Just a ton of energy.
Very cool. All right. So where are we at now? Are you still in Chicago at this point?
Still in Chicago. which I would not have been able to see this next artist probably if we hadn't have been in Chicago. Mm-hmm. So this brings us to our 30s. Maggie, for her 30th birthday, I knew I had to do something a little more. I'm a horrible gift giver. But Stevie Wonder was coming to town at the end of October, and her birthday is the beginning of October.
All right.
Oh, dude.
So it was a pretty easy choice, and I bought decent tickets. We were I feel like we were like 7th row. We were very close at the United Center seeing Stevie Wonder. I was an idiot. I didn't even know
he was blind. He's blinded.
That's a conspiracy. He is doing songs in the key of life. I had no idea he was going to be doing songs in the key of life. And if you're a Stevie Wonder fan, that's a production.
Yeah.
And he made sure to let us know as an audience that this was a production and this was one of the last times he was going to be doing it.
Oh, really?
But it was, there had to be 30 other people on stage with him.
Oh, wow.
It was incredible. And then this song, Isn't She Lovely? I know he wrote it for his daughter, I believe. And it just kind of, again, makes me appreciate Maggie a bit. And her dad, my father-in-law, Mike, is like the coolest dude and has shown nothing but like love and support for Maggie throughout her life. Mm-hmm. And I see that, in the woman that I'm married to. Like, she's been supported and she's had a man in her life that has like just shown her love. So it's just kind of a cool thing. It just kind of makes me think of that. And like, if you're a dad out there and you've got a girl and you show her love and support, she'll turn out to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So shout out to Mike. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you have a daughter.
I do have a daughter.
Yeah.
Making me tear up over here just thinking about that one.
Isn't she lovely?
Isn't she lovely?
Man, if every father could be inspired to do something like this for their daughter, I think our world would be good.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot better. All right, let's do it. Stevie Wonder.
All the ladies out there, this one goes out to you.
Yeah. Stevie Wonder.
Stevie.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah,
that guy.
It was so amazing. I'm so fortunate to have seen him in concert. It was such an amazing show. And then not only in concert, but Songs in the Key of Life, the whole album, the whole production. It was amazing.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was a good start to kind of our 30s and really actually figuring things out. And
How old were you when you guys got married?
So that kind of feeds into the next song here. Yeah. So perfect segue. Yeah. We were 30. This was later.
So you and Maggie are the same age?
Yes. She was born in 85. I was born in 86, 4 days into 86. So we're a few months apart. Yeah. Same grade. So we met in 7th grade in middle school. And kind of throughout that time, she grew up listening to some of this old stuff. Like I said, her dad was an influence. She was listening to Chicago and Stevie Wonder and then James Taylor, which feeds into our next song. And then I kind of subsequently, too, through my grandparents and having those oldies, have always had James Taylor in the background and Carole King. And when we were 30, that's when we got married. And it was our first taste of being kind of outside of Chicago. We got married outside of Asheville in North Carolina, and this song just kind of puts me back in that whole wedding trip. And then it was also the song we danced to at our wedding.
What made you guys get married in North Carolina?
Just to have something small. We just wanted to have, a couple people there, do our actual ceremony just in a small, intimate setting. We just love the outdoors and the mountains. Yeah. So
it's beautiful out there. It's wild.
And then 2 months later, we had a big party, and the party was a party. So
and that was back in Illinois.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's the way to do it, man.
Yeah. So it would be hard to put a list together without putting James Taylor in there, and then How Sweet It Is just is a perfect song for Maggie, and just kind of I feel like that's pretty much how we feel about each other. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a wedding song.
It's perfect.
That's what I'm picturing.
And back to Jurassic 5 and my buddy Grant, who introduced me to them and who we went to that show with, his wife, who I also went to high school with, they are similarly the cutest couple in the world. They are met in middle school. They have 2 little daughters now. They're similar trajectory to Maggie and I, but they actually got a little, they had a hand made print of some James Taylor lyrics from How Sweet It Is. Mm. They gave it to us for our wedding.
Oh, that's cool.
It's still in our bedroom. So
this is your first dance song, or it just played?
This was our first dance song. I'm pretty sure. I'm a horrible husband. I have a really
we're gonna have to edit that one.
Bad memories about like our act. I mean, the celebration was, like I said, it was just
weddings go. It's a blur.
It was a blur.
Weddings are a blur.
But I'm 99% sure we danced to this, and yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Cool. James Taylor.
How Sweet It Is. James Taylor.
James Taylor. How Sweet It Is. That's good, man.
It's just a feel good song.
So you guys still dance to that in the kitchen when it comes on?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man.
That's the best date nights. Just cooking in the kitchen and putting music on.
Throw some James Taylor.
Sure. Yeah. It's usually not James Taylor these days, but if he comes on, dancing's happening for sure.
Yeah. When I think James Taylor, I always think of Jim Croce and how much I love Jim Croce, man. My grandpa got me into that. But there's similar spots in my head of like memories.
Yeah.
And, all right. So what's going on now?
So, yeah, that kind of takes us through our wedding. We're kind of feeling good. Now we've decided to make a change. And we're going to be moving to North Carolina. And I feel like Chance the Rapper was a real big influence while we were in Chicago. He's a Chicago dude.
Okay.
He's also just like a great community dude, if you don't know anything about him. But his song, Same Drugs. So this album came out like the year we moved, and this is just a real good song. Just kind of puts me in that place of like, you're making changes and you might be a little bit of the same person, but you're also a little bit of a new person as you're moving forward and just kind of starting a new life. But then also simultaneously just kind of makes you think of the past a little bit and reflect on that a bit.
Yeah, especially because he's like a hometown boy, but that's like him like, it's okay for you to leave home and try something out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the song is just like, yeah, we all change a bit.
Yeah. So that's cool. Was that scary? Had you lived away from that area before?
We'd never lived outside of Illinois. I'd never lived, too far from my family. But honestly, when you're in a big city, like it doesn't matter how far away people are. It seems big cities just repel people. So whether we were in North Carolina or Chicago, the distance to like people coming to visit, I feel like is basically the same. As weird as that sounds. I don't know if that answers.
No, it does. It does. And where'd you guys move to in North Carolina?
Durham.
Just
kind of on a whim, just kind of liked it. And that's where Maggie had started looking for jobs out in this area. And Durham was the first place we found, that had a decent offer and we were excited about to go to. And we lived there for 5 years. It's great. I recommend anybody move there if you got the money to live there. It's a great spot.
Yeah, I got some good friends out there. My boy Tyler lives out that way. Yeah. And it's like everybody I know from that area is super rad. But I haven't spent any time out there. I've been meaning to get out there because they're always like, you gotta come, dude. It rules.
Yeah, and between Greensboro and Raleigh and Durham, there's enough music, there's enough fun stuff happening, and the population is big enough. The music and the food are both just insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're popping off on some food.
Yeah, it's super good food. I really miss the food up here. I mean, it's decent in Stanton, but Durham,
the variety. We
could ride our bicycle down to downtown Durham and just eat anywhere.
I mean, it's more metropolitan.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
Yeah. My friend, where did you say, because my friend has that place, Capitol Club. That's
in Raleigh.
That's in Raleigh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet, but looks amazing,
and
they've been crushing it. I've seen.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people refer to the area as Raleigh Durham, and that's like a real sticking point for people who live down there.
Yeah,
it's weird. We lived in Durham, and Durham is people in Durham don't really go to Raleigh unless we're going to see music.
Right.
And similarly, people in Raleigh don't go to Durham.
Right.
The airport is right in between the two, and it's Raleigh Durham International. So everybody now refers to the area as Raleigh Durham.
Yeah, that's what I think of it of.
Yeah, the people down there hate it, but they are so separate in their vibes and in their, Raleigh's great, but it's not. They're so different. Their feeling.
It's like a Seville Waynesboro.
What's that?
The Seville Waynesboro.
Seville Waynesboro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people get us confused all the time.
Right?
I'd say more Seville Stanton.
Yeah. And we wound up in the middle.
Yeah, we're just hillbillies out that nobody likes.
Yeah, Waynesboro is the Raleigh Durham airport, apparently.
The airport. There we go.
Yeah, but just this signifying kind of making a change and evolving into a new like space, and again, just like we're hitting our 30s and in our stride. We're professionally like making a little bit more money, just a little bit more confident, and life seems to be like doing a little bit more of what we want. And Chance the Rapper is just perfectly emblematic of all of that. And
Cool. What's the name of the song again?
this is Same Drugs.
Same Drugs.
Making changes with the same drugs.
All right, let's do it. All right, Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper, Same
That
Drugs.
was cool. I don't think I've heard that song before, but that was beautiful.
So it could have been a toss-up between that and Summer Friends, which is a much more like there's specific Chicago references in Summer Friends, and that gives you a feel of like being back in just as the summer or the title suggests, like being a kid playing, in the summers.
Yeah.
But this song, I love this song, and kind of like the Peter Pan references, and you kind of got to grow up and make the necessary changes to move on.
Most of his stuff have like a chill vibe to it.
Most of his stuff is pretty upbeat and like he's a good, just smiley, happy dude. Mm-hmm. So most of his stuff has that kind of vibe, a more upbeat vibe, not so much but he is, super. But
you say political at the same time.
He can be political, and he's an activist for sure. He's invested in arts programs and for the public school system in Chicago, and he's just he's a good dude,
bringing positivity.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and especially saying like you guys just like were like in your early 30s and like moving on.
Yeah,
I could see that being. I mean, it's a big change,
Yeah, for sure. And oddly enough, we never saw him in Chicago, but moving to North Carolina and kind of had made that change and started turning the page on our lives. He came to Greensboro for, I believe, this album, this coloring book album, the tour, and we saw him in Greensboro, North Carolina, and it was such a great show. It's probably the oldest Maggie and I have felt at a concert. It was like the tides had turned, and we walked past a parents' room, and it's like probably people more our age were in this, parents' room.
They drop the kids off to watch, and then the parents could hang?
Yeah, absolutely.
What? I've never even heard that.
Yeah, I had neither. Neither one of us had, and we witnessed it, and we were like,
wow.
That's weird.
We had an amazing time.
Dude, I feel like I'm going to go to concerts with my kids. Like with Elena, I want to go to the concert. So you have that like a little bit of a bonding thing. Not just drop off.
Until they
can drive.
Until they don't let you come anymore. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
Parents' room.
Yeah, it was a little wild, but it was such a great concert. He puts on such a show. He did like a catwalk where he walked out above the whole crowd. It was a pretty fun show, even though we were the oldest people in attendance. It's funny because in that same auditorium, the Greensboro Coliseum, we'd seen James Taylor, and that was the total flip.
Yeah,
we were the youngest.
They had a
people.
kids' room.
We were by far the youngest people coming to see James Taylor, but it was the exact opposite for Chance the Rapper.
That's funny,
but
it's
either way,
finding your place.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess it is a pretty wide range of music, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah. All right. So that was number 10?
That was number 10, yeah.
Excellent. Like, so that's...
Days flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this kind of brings us to the next one, just a little more current, even though this album came out at the same time. This just kind of puts me where I feel like I'm at and where I'm
This
at.
is someone I've never heard of.
You've never...
No.
So I would imagine for a lot of people, Anderson .Paak is somebody they've maybe never heard of, but they've heard.
Okay.
Anderson .Paak.
Recently...
Paak or Peck?
Paak. So it's like P-A-A-K.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
If you watch the Super Bowl performance, when they played the Super Bowl in L.A., and there was all the icons of hip-hop up there, if you would have known Anderson .Paak, you would have seen him playing the drums in that mix. He's a drummer, but he's also just like kind of R&B, rap. He's got a really fun vibe, just like kind of party energy. Everything he does is more like just kind of fun, cool vibes. You've heard him for sure, but you just don't know his name.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this kind of brings us to now, just a little more. If I was coming to work in the morning, this is something you might hear.
Yeah. Do you listen to music on your motorcycle?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does that, like, is it like an earbud or is it like a speaker? How does that work?
It's a built-in speaker system.
So
there's like a little receiver that picks up my phone, just playing
That's cool.
Spotify on my phone, and it just picks it up. And then there's a speaker basically feeding into each ear, and I wear a little earbud, like a concert-style noise reduction earbud, so it just focuses that speaker hearing.
Do you have the helmets for Maggie yet where you guys can talk?
Not yet. She has a helmet, but no.
Not the communication?
Yeah, no communication.
Do they make a helmet that only plays Steppenwolf?
I don't know.
Born to be Wild. Like that's the only thing it just like repeats. Because I'd be fine with that. All right. So what do we got next? So what's the name of this song?
So this is Anderson .Paak.
This is your plus one.
This is the plus one. This is, yeah, if you were in my car, the song is likely to come up or something like this. Anything of Anderson .Paak's is going to be a good time. His Tiny Desk, his NPR Tiny Desk with the Free Nationals.
So he does some like acoustic style stuff too, or?
Yeah. He's a drummer.
I mean, he's a drummer, so it's all
yeah.
like, you can do anything.
His stuff with the Free Nationals at the Tiny Desk is super fun. He's got a fun personality.
Okay.
Super huge smile. Saw him at Red Hat Amphitheater in probably 2019-ish, so it's another outdoor venue in North Carolina. And half the songs he's playing the drums, half the songs he's just singing and dancing, and it's a great show. So
yeah, I have to check this out, man.
yeah, he's a fun time.
What is the song called?
Come Down.
All right, come down. Anderson .Paak. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard that in like a movie or a show or something because I definitely recognize it, but that was cool.
I feel like he's, like I said, one of those dudes that you've probably heard. You may not know his name.
Yeah.
You should know his name. Everybody should. He's great. He's just got a fun vibe. And
Yeah, it seems like a cool dude.
I mean, with this podcast, you're putting him on the map, dude.
Yeah, dude. He's about to get that Blanc Creatives bump,
He's
son.
about to get lit.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, the Blanc Creatives bump.
Yeah.
Just watch his Instagram go sky high.
For sure.
All right, so that was your number 11. That was your 10 plus 1.
Yeah, that was 10 plus 1 for sure.
Excellent. I feel like I learned a lot about you. This was good. I mean, I know you, but like, it's nice to like, because like around here, like everybody's got their headphones on, like you got your own office, you know, and like I know you guys, but like I don't know, because for me, like music's such a thing, and so like I feel like I would know more about people if I.
Well, we're here, I feel like on a daily basis, just kind of, although we're all here together, everybody's got headphones on.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk at lunch.
Yeah, we talk at lunch.
Other than lunch, there's not a whole lot. You're like head down working in your world.
I mean, and for good reason. There's, we're striking metal. There's, it's loud as shit all day long. And so we're kind of all in our own world, but to kind of get a little glimpse inside, you know.
And that's really what I wanted to do this. Like, how better to get to know someone through, through music.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. And you being our first guest, Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, man. This was
Letting
good.
me ramble.
So let's give a shout out. What are we drinking today? We got some Four Roses single barrel.
Yeah, you got some guys.
What you got, Brady?
I've got cider from Mars in Stanton because cider from Mars is awesome. It's probably the thing that's made us happiest about making our move from Durham to Stanton is that we have like a
good cider,
a legit, really good cider, and we just go down there on a Friday night and have a cider. So I'm drinking cider from Mars, but I mean, Four Roses is always a good little
Four Roses
staple.
is always solid.
Any good bourbon.
Cool. Yeah, so I just want to mention, again, I meant to mention this at the top of the show, but so like if you have Spotify Premium, you'll hear the whole song. But if you just have the free Spotify, you'll just hear the 30 seconds. So if you want to hear the whole songs, get Premium. What is it, $10 a month? I don't know how much it is anymore.
Yeah, they got the family plan, 14, I think, and then you do, however you want to go. And also, I think what we'll do, narrowing down the songs to 10 plus 1 has been hard for the three of us so far. So I'm assuming it's going to be that way for most people. So we'll create the our 11 songs plus, maybe 20, 25 and have it on our Shop Tunes.
So on our Spotify Shop Tunes, we'll have a different group for each episode. Like I can make one. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So if you search Blanc Creatives on Spotify, it comes up as 2 profiles. So we have the circled logo, that's our playlist profile, and that has all of our Shop Tunes. I think we have 10 or 11 volumes at this point, and then we have the podcast. So on the playlist profile under Blanc Creatives, where it has all of our Shop Tunes, now we'll start to upload these. So the next one now we got 3 to upload. So it'd be like Shop Tunes, Christopher Knox, Shop Tunes, Corey, Shop Tunes, Brady.
All right, cool.
And that'll be our 11 songs plus the ones that didn't make that
I'll
cut.
have to give you some extras for fill mine out there.
Nice.
All right, next week we have Cassidy is our marketing.
We got to get her before she flies away.
She's moving to Mexico.
And she's what, roughly 10 years younger than our youngest?
Dude, she's a solid. She's a solid 10 years younger than I am.
So it should be maybe a slightly different take.
Very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. And I think that's all I got to say. I want to thank you guys.
Yeah, it's just
thank
super
you again,
solid,
Brady.
Great first guest.
Yeah, one other thing, this is the first time that we've done 3 people, and so the levels might be weird, but we're going to work on that and figure that out. And if you have any suggestions or questions, please let us know.
Yeah, put the comments, Q&A type thing under the playlist, or under our episode. So if you scroll all the way down, there's a section that the first question just says, "What do you think?"
Cool.
And then if you reply to that, we'll get it, and we'll definitely feedback will help us at this point.
Feedback will definitely help us because we are kind of seat of our pants in this whole situation. Yeah. We thought about it a lot, and then but once you start,
we're like borderline professional today.
Well, I mean, today was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first 2 were fun. Yeah. I mean, they were definitely fun, but
definitely fun.
I think I'm feeling more comfortable.
Totally.
All right, guys. Thank you. Anything you want to add, Corey?
No, man. Let's just do a cheers. I'm going to cue a little outro, and we'll do a little cheers. And
all right. Thank you very much, guys. See you next week.
All right. Ching, ching. Cheers.